Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Zanetta.
Welcome. Hi, Stefania. Oh, we're good now. So I'm Zanetta and you're Stefania. That's good.
Yeah, we've got it around the right way.
Yes, yes. Welcome to Fun Fresh Friday.
Yes, welcome, everybody. Welcome to another great night there in the States, in the US, wherever you are, and a good morning to everyone that's in Australia because it's 10:30 and I've been up really early, zooming around, doing things
Oh,
as you do in the mornings. But we
yes.
have we have a great show, a great talk today.
Yes, we do.
Yes. And as you can see, the title is Why Do We Take Things Personally? Mm,
Don't
how do
we
we? Sorry?
don't we do that often?
We do. We do. Even when we don't want to. And even when we say no, and then just somehow it gets under your skin and you feel poked. And that saying that says, oh, just let it slide off, your back like water off a duck's back. Well,
Mm-hmm.
is it really that easy to have, that slide off your back like water?
Hmm.
But before we go on, Zanetta, do you have any hellos or, to anyone special out there?
Yes, yes.
Shout
Every
out,
time,
shout out, hellos. I call
yes,
it hello. It's a shout
yeah,
out.
shout out. Every time because I watch it on replay, and I wanted to see, how it sounds and what we can do better and things like that. My friends, my classmates in the Philippines, they always watch.
Oh,
They
great.
always watch. They don't say much, but they always watch. So I just wanted to have a shout out to my best friend, my classmates, my kumare, which is
Ah, you call them comari too? We call them comaris in Italian.
really,
Actually, comari and compari actually means godfather and godmother.
yes,
Yeah, the same thing?
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God, I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. Same thing.
Hmm,
Yeah. So,
there you go.
hello, kamusta kayong lahat dyan? Magandang umaga. I just
Yes.
I just said hello everyone. Good morning because it's morning over there.
Mm. In fact, I have a very special shout out to someone in the Philippines.
Oh,
She's a dear friend of mine, which I've known for a couple of years now, which I've met online. And her name is Ali May. And I just want to say hello to Ali May. And
hello,
Oksana.
Ellie.
I'm Oksana. Shout out to Oksana. You're here. Thank you. Great to see you. So, today's show, let's
Yes,
get on with it.
take it
Let's get
away.
on with how do we stop taking things personally? Now, as I said before, Zanetta, everyone has something sensitive, that we get sensitive about, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And where we even get like that gentle poke and we feel it. We feel that like knife going in, or we take it the wrong way, we misinterpret, we delete, distort, and generalize. We do lots of things when comments or things that are said that may not even be pertaining directly to you. They may not actually be said straight to you, but you know that it is said in a way that you are to listen, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we deal with that? How do we deal with that criticism? That inevitable part of our life where we just our heart just sinks and we're hurt. We're hurt, and we think it's about us. I did something wrong. It's about me. Why do I always? Why do people say that to me, or why do people talk to me that way? Do you ever get that, Zanetta? Or do we ever grow out of it? I mean, I know that we're forever, working on ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
on not taking things personally, and
Mm-hmm.
saying it's not about me; it's about the other person. But
Mm-hmm.
somehow that still seems to worm its way in.
Yeah, yeah. I know you grow out of it because I grew out of it. Um, I remember, um, I can't I can't remember who told me, but I remember what was told to me. Uh, why do you answer to a name that doesn't pertain to you?
Mm.
Why do you react to a name that is not pertain to you? Or, um, oh, I remember now. I just saw the vision, my flashback. We were walking, and I was in the military, and it was one of the sergeants, and we were walking. He was kind of mentoring me,
Mm.
and there was a car that passed by and slowed down and honked, and I got so upset. I took I took it personally.
Really? How
My
personal?
my reaction was, don't be honking on me. I'm not the street walker. I am not so I was just going off. So my sergeant, he was like, hey, 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 why did you even answer? That honk probably wasn't for you.
Mm.
Uh,
That stopped you in your tracks, didn't it?
So, oh yeah, it did. And it caused me to think, why am I responding? If somebody calls me Stefania, I'm not going to respond.
Right.
Somebody calls me B. Hey B, F U B. Go ahead.
Exactly.
What else you got to say? Your your vocabulary is very limited, so okay. So yeah, you grow out of it. You grow out of it, and oh, Michael. Oh my gosh, she's one of my good friends in Hawaii. I think if you're still in Hawaii, I don't know. But yes, thank you for joining. Yes, there are triggers. Yes, and you grow out of it, but it takes a while. I mean, it took
Mm.
someone to tell me. If if I would have probably not been told that, I
Mm.
think I would still, you know, because I'm very kind-hearted, but this mouth sometimes sometimes gets me in trouble. Yeah.
So, yeah, I was gonna go on to talk about, like, when we hear criticism, of our
Mm,
actions, for example,
mm,
and how do we actually not take it personally? Or not only do we escape feeling hurt or shamed, we also keep criticism from escalating. Like, how do we prevent that from happening? Because sometimes we kind of like hold it in. Like in your case, you say, your mouth gets you into trouble. What about the opposite, where we hold it all in? We
mm.
just like suppressing it. How can we take things less personally to both benefit ourselves and others?
Hmm.
Because sometimes people may say something, right? And
Mhm.
we take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And they had no idea because, like, was it Mike, your
Michael?
friend Michael
Yeah.
said,
And Antoinette.
Antoinette,
Mhm.
that it it takes, it pulls that trigger goes off in us, right? And
Right.
that other person has no idea that what he or she said could be pulling that trigger in you and creating all these, emotions to come
Mhm.
up.
Yeah.
How do we, yeah, control ourselves and how to even say, well, that person maybe is not directly, you know it's not for me. It's
Mhm.
maybe something they're experienced, but it's also triggering us,
Mhm.
because it can really create more fire bombs.
Right. Right. And it's especially in a relationship, in husband and wife. Um, so when the husband says something, And I even had to come to grips that I'm not talking to my past. I'm talking to my present.
Mm.
So some of the things that he will say might have been said in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So the intent in the past might have been nefarious, might have been some shenanigans in there, but his intent was totally different. So I had to understand, you know, because he would call me out on it. Hey, 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 I'm not so and so. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Sorry. But it took me a while. So I've learned this trick. This is one of the tricks that I do. If I hear something and I feel that trigger, I feel that instant heat, my face just
Flares up.
feel like I have a fever and I'm balling up my fist. I'm like, what? I ask, well, what do you mean by that? So I'm I'm interpreting it the way I hear it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm interpreting it in my circumstance, in what state I'm in. I might have had a bad day, and I'm just having a bad day, and then I'm talking to Jeff, and Jeff says something, and what do you mean by that? Okay, so I take it personally, but then it wasn't really. So I have to slow down. I have to slow down and really listen to what is being said and respond accordingly. Not have this heat, take a breather,
Mm-hmm.
let let them talk. Okay, well, okay, you said this. What do you mean by that? So, explain to me. And then when they explain, it's not what you took it as, then it's good. But if it is as you took it as,
Yeah, what happens then?
then there's some explaining to do.
Mm.
There's some
Another
conversation.
conversation. Yes.
Another,
Jinx. Exactly.
another conversation is going to come about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what does Michael Antoinette say? Every experience?
Let me see.
Oh,
Experiences past and present, which found the internal hook to hold on to. Yes, that is good. Thank you. Yeah, and that's what it is. It's your state. It's what your state is in. And sometimes when we go into just like our friendship, sometimes there are things that in friendship that somebody hurt you real bad. You're really good friends, and I might do something that other person did as well. I might say something. Our vocabulary is very limited, so we're bound to say the same things, but
mm,
we don't have the same intentions.
mm. Correct. And would you say too that tonality has a lot to do with it as well?
Oh, yeah.
Mm. Like saying the same thing, but saying it in a different tone, right?
Different tone. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Tonality has everything to do with it. Um, and the timing of saying it as well.
Mm.
Sometimes Jeff will tell me, now is not the time, or I will tell him, mm-mm.
Not now. He's got the signal. So you both understand the signal. So that's really important too
Yeah.
in a relationship, in a couple's relationship where you both have an agreement that
Hmm.
you agree that you choose the right time for both of you to talk about things, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, taking things personally. So how can we toughen up without becoming hard-hearted? How can we
Hmm.
actually? Because sometimes what happens is we can toughen up, and it's two ways of toughening up: becoming really tough and really hard-hearted, where you become hard and not so, that, right, I'm just cutting everyone off, or
Yeah.
I'm not putting up with this, and you become hard.
Do we really become hard? Do
I don't
we
know.
really?
Do we?
Do we really? Or
This.
is or
Mm,
is it or is it a ploy? Is it a facade to cut the person off way before they can even do any damage? So I'm going to cut it off right now. Oh, no, I don't have time for you. And the
protection.
reason why they do this, and I don't have time for this, I'm not, no, this is not going to, no. What they're really saying is you're going to stop them before they hurt you because it's protection. I'm hurt. I've been hurt before. I'm fragile, and you're not going to break me. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break you first. Ask me how I know. Ask me how
Okay.
I know. Ask me how I know. Jeff saw through all of this. Yeah, Jeff saw through all of it. I mean, through me. He was like, "You act like you hard and hardcore, and this tough girl. I see you."
Mhm.
And when he said that, I was like, "Oh, what
See?
telltale signs did I give?"
Mm.
Yeah. And Monica, same way, exactly. When I get excited, I know I speak louder, which is passion. Some people perceive it as something totally different. Yes, Monica speaks with passion.
Yeah, she's passionate about what she's saying. That's all.
Yes, yeah. And some people do misinterpret it. It's
Mm.
misinterpreted. So to I think one of the tools also, to not take things personally is to get to know the person. Get to know them. Get to know them,
Mm.
and it's just a little step of vulnerability. Listen,
Mm. Mm.
just a little. Don't be opening up vulnerability all of a sudden. Just gradual vulnerability. Uh,
Mm.
wow, I like this, Antoinette. Oh, anger and grief's bodyguard, or pain, pain's bodyguard. Anger is grief's bodyguard, or pain's bodyguard. Mm,
Mm. So
mm.
true, because that anger does sit in the forefront
Oh yeah.
of every other emotion, which lines up directly after anger, because that anger's
Yes.
there protecting, coming
Yes.
the first one that shoots through. The other thing I just wanted to add to what even Monica said, she talks about passion, right?
Mm-hmm,
Her
mm-hmm.
being passionate. The other thing we have to take in consideration is also cultural,
Mm. Yeah.
because one's, culture, you may be culturally expressing a certain way, which can come across quite stern, quite, bitter, um, less compassionate, as opposed to, I'd say the Westerners. I think sometimes we can, be a little bit more sensitive, as opposed to, I'll use Italians for example, right?
I got plenty of Filipino examples. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And the Italian example is too, particularly if they are not speaking their native tongue, because if they're translating their native tongue into English, they literally translate it for word. So when you translate it into English, it is quite rude. It can come across very rude, and particularly with tonality. I'll give you an example, right? Very simple. Very simple. When you go to a bar and you order a drink or a coffee or whatever, you say in Italian, very simple, un caffè. Like you walk in, you say a coffee. There's no kind of like, please, thank
Can I have
you,
coffee, please? Yeah.
please, because when you say it in un caffè, you say it with a tone, you say it with a smile, you say it, so that translates into please, thank you, if that makes sense, right? But then if
Yeah.
you translate it straight into English, a coffee. You walk up into a coffee bar or a Starbucks, you say a coffee. That's it. Like, how rude is that? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And things like that can come across like, yeah, you'll
Yeah.
take it personally. Why can't you just say thank you? Why can't you?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I thought I had thick skin because growing up in the Philippines, uh, we're talking about brutal. I mean, brutal compliments, if you want to say it that way. Um, they'll say, "Oh my God, you have a big butt." Like what?
And that
Yeah,
could be a compliment, right?
and it's a compliment, or because I was so tall, they would call me Amazon. Oh, here comes the Amazon, or here comes the Americana, they'll start giving you nicknames. They'll start, associating what you look like, or what you do, or what you're good at
Yeah.
with a nickname. So there's one that was one of my best friend. He runs really fast. He runs up a tree like a rat.
So they called him Rat. Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And the greetings there, it's not like, hey, how you been? Oh my God, I haven't seen you in a long time. Oh, when did you get here? How long are you gonna stay? No. Oh my God, you got fat.
Not even like you're looking really healthy, like,
No, no, no.
just
So
straight.
so growing up in that culture and then going to, um, I know some of the viewers can relate to this, the Southern Black family. I cried. I cried when I first met she's now my ex mother-in-law, and my sister-in-laws. Oh my God, I cried. I thought they were fighting. I thought they were about to go to blows.
Wow.
I mean, they were talking to each other like well, you stupid. No, you don't. I'm like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? But no, this was the culture.
Yes.
And, growing up in that, growing up in the Philippines, thinking that I got tough skin and I went to the South. Nah, but
Totally
now,
different.
yes, they're very passionate, very passionate when they talk. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I got the
So
same
yes,
thing
culture.
actually. Culture.
Yeah.
And I got the same thing when I went to Italy the first time and I went to the village. The village people are even more like, and they gave me a nickname because the village was up on a mountain and you'd have to go down this mountain to get down to get to the sea. And I used to love running it, walking it. That means because I've always been into fitness. So at the
Mhm.
time there was no gyms around in the little village. So I would use whatever and I would run. I would run up and down this mountain. So they told me, like they nicknamed me the horse. And I was like so offended. Like in Italian, the name horse is cavalla
Yeah,
or cavallo. Yeah, cavallo.
caballo. Hmm.
Yeah, and I'm going, when I heard it, and because everyone would bip and stop and say, "Do you want to ride?" And I said, "No, no, I'm going to run. I'm going to run. I want to run. I want to run." So when I heard that they were nicknamed, like they were actually and all that, calling me, and then they'd say, "Oh, you're a beautiful cavalier," and I'd said to my cousin, "Oh my God, they're calling me a horse. They're like, this is my new nickname in the village, the Australian horse." Actually, that's what it was, the Australian horse, because I was from Australia. And I was like horrified. And my cousin said to me, "Stefania, that is a compliment." I said, "A compliment? A horse?" And she said, "Yes, because horses are beautiful. They're just beautiful. And, yes, you do run up and down that mountain, and horses run gracefully. They're beautiful animals. Like, look at a horse." And I kind of like stopped and thought, yeah, well, yeah, horses are beautiful. They're lovely natured, and they run, and they're big.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I had to reframe exactly what I had framed up to be a horse and how offensive that sounded to me. Yeah, so it's that. It's very, very important. So that's why we have to really be aware of, are we distorting? Are we deleting? Are we
Mm-hmm.
generalizing what we're hearing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and yes, go ahead.
I like what uh, what Antoinette said, and it never dawned on me about this, that trauma is a culture of its own.
Mm,
Wow. One can be traumatized, Italian multicultural.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it never, occurred to me that trauma can be a culture as well. You know, uh, because if you think about it, a person who might take things personally
Hmm.
might be traumatized, and, they're taking it the wrong way. Uh,
Mm.
with the nicknames, or with just certain phrases, or, you, you know, um, hey girl, what do you mean, girl?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're my
that's
girl,
like the
hey
other
girl.
day I called someone young man, like, young man, like, and it was like, for me, it was like cute, to say young man, like,
Hmm.
and he took it offensively. A friend of mine, I said, "Oh, it's supposed to mean, you're young in spirit, young in." I didn't mean it as
Yeah.
young. Yeah, it was funny, but yeah, definitely cultural. And if you do grow up in a mixed culture,
Hmm.
or if you do grow up, like yourself, you're Filipino and then you went to the States, right?
Hmm.
With myself, it was like living in Australia and living in an Italian family, and then stepping out and having to mix with, the world,
Hmm.
the rest of the world, and trying to be Australian or trying to be Italian at home. The simple things, even as being a child, being at school, and your sandwiches, back then we just bought cut sandwiches from home, and we didn't have the ham and tomato. As kids, we had the full on salami and big, strong, smelly Parmesan cheese. And, you open up your lunchbox at school, and of course, that waft of salami comes through. You get, all these names and things that smell. And again, as a child, you're taking that personally. So you're developing, we
Hmm.
are developing these, sensitivities to the way people say things, the way people express it, tonality. And yeah, these triggers definitely go on through life. So, yeah. So, Zanetta, what else would you add to, some tips about how to, you know, interpret or not take on, these statements, things that are said, things that you hear, not taking it personally?
I think the most top that I would say, the top of the line, or the number one suggestion, or the number one that you would need to work on, is being comfortable with yourself. Know
Mm,
who you are. You know, when you're
com-
comfortable with yourself and you know who you are, then nobody can tell you anything. No, I mean, You can say, "You're dumb." Yep, I am dumb in a lot of subjects, but not this one. You can come back with a witty answer. Oh, you're so dumb. Yep, I am dumb when it comes down to rocket science. When it comes down to being a surgeon, most definitely dumb. But the topic that we're talking about, I know a little something. So words do hurt because they carry life. And
Mm.
it depends on you, the receiver, whether you give it life or you just pluck it like a weed and toss it. Nope,
Mm.
that doesn't belong to me. Yeah. So be comfortable with yourself. Know who you are and have confidence in who you are. And then the rest is gravy.
Yes, yes, definitely. We have a comment before I go
Yes.
on. I
Yes.
just want to
Let me see. Oh,
Antoinette.
Monica said, right, in my culture, if you are too skinny, something must be wrong with you. Yeah, I was told that too. I was told, what's wrong with you? Wait, you don't have a meat on your bone.
You're
But then,
sick.
but then in the Philippines, if you don't look anorexic, then you fat.
Yeah.
But Antoinette said, until we are given the opportunity to process our understanding, yeah, yeah, give that opportunity, to get that process of understanding, even with friends, even with family, the culture. Give people time to get that understanding. Yep, you have to love yourself. You do. That's gain an understanding of the words we heard, diffuse our beliefs from lies spoken about us or to us. Yes, yes, because it's only you that'll accept whatever it is that's being dished out. It's like you're going to a buffet. You're not going to put all of the food on your plate. You're only going to put what you want, what you're going to
Mm.
eat.
Absolutely.
So there's a slew of food right there,
That's
but you're
right.
not you're not going to take it all. It's the same thing with a conversation or whatever somebody is saying. Let me pick that. Let me pick that. I'm gonna throw that. I'm not even gonna touch that. I'm gonna ignore that, and it'll be a good conversation. So we have William.
Hello.
Albert, welcome. Go ahead and
Yes,
read it.
welcome. Communication today is a challenge as opposed to my drinking days.
Mm,
I avoid people for reasons in which I don't like a lot of negative energy. So I feel out of place in the world as a sober person. I've disconnected from the world entirely. Hmm.
mm. So you see that's where the stoppage go, the bitterness that we were talking about earlier, or being hardcore. But then there are some like Albert who withdraw, because it's a mechanism, it's a safety mechanism, it's a survival mechanism. It's to protect the heart,
Mm.
and those are the things that we have to understand.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think too, you've got a really valid point there, Zanetta, where, you know, it's okay to say no. It's okay to put your hand up and just say, no, I don't need to hear this, because you're setting healthy boundaries.
Yes,
You don't need to hide. You don't need to withdraw. You just need to be heard. And if they're not hearing you, then, that hand is telling them, no, it's a stop.
right.
I'm in control of what I want to listen to. definitely.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to mention with this, because we can um, take it personally, right? We can be really sensitive to what's being said. But on the other hand, we can also look at it as feedback,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, I remember one time I used to, this is a few years ago, where I had this friend, and sometimes, she'd say, "Tell me honestly, tell me what you think, tell me what you think." And I'd be always very careful as to how I would tell her what I thought, because sometimes I too can say something that's, you know, in good faith and good spirit, but it can be misinterpreted, because I'm always aware of that. So I said to her, "Well, I just don't think you're ready yet." Or I don't know what it was at the time. I just pretty much was giving her my opinion and what I could see from, third person removed. And it was really interesting, because I was thinking she's going to take it personally. She's going to go and tell me to pee off. And she said, "Oh," she said, "hang on a minute." She got a piece of paper and tells me, "Well, what do you think I should, where did you feel that when I was saying this?" And she took it, and I said, "What are you doing?" She goes, "This is feedback. You're giving me great feedback." I said, "I am." Yes, yes. And, this is something that's really stuck, because we can do that. We can train ourselves. We can train our brains to look at it as feedback. And you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to label it negative feedback, positive feedback, just,
Feedback.
well, feedback. It's a feedback loop, really. And which I've gone ahead and done more study on it as well. And it's so true, because we can take what we want from that, look at it constructively, and take it as feedback as to, well, how about if I try something different? Let me see what that result that gives me,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. So yeah, we can do that instead of taking it all on and just feeling so heartbroken, right?
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about, having confidence in yourself, knowing who you are. So if I'm asking feedback from you, "Well, what's your opinion?" Then I would want the honest opinion. And
Mm,
so knowing myself, there might be some things that you might misinterpret it. But there are certain things that you're going to say that's going to shed some light,
mm,
with me. And yeah, I will take that. I'm like, oh, I didn't know I did that.
mm. Exactly.
Okay. I will I will do better. So your friend had that confidence in herself, that
Mm,
and here's the thing: when you have confidence in yourself, you know that you need to be upgraded. You need to grow.
mm.
You need to learn some more, because just because we have confidence doesn't mean we know it all. No, it just means that we're confident in where we weren't confident before.
Yeah.
We now know how to handle this. We're now confident. Oh, I got this. But in the beginning, you're like intimidated, not knowing what to do. Fear sets in, and then when you do it, you're like, oh. So then you gain that confidence. So then the next step would be another area in your life where you can grow. You know,
Mm.
um, Feedback. Yeah, that's good. Very
Yeah,
good.
because we're being stretched, aren't we? We're just, as
Yes,
we, growing
always,
pains. We're just, as we grow, it's not
always.
going to be wonderful as we grow. We know that growing can be painful. It's we're being stretched. We're
Mhm.
being tested. We become more resilient.
Yes, yes. If you take a look at just the technology alone, if you take a look at your computer, your watch, your phone, there
Mm,
is always an update.
Always. I know. I thought I just did an update. And then it tells me, oh, you're up for another update. And I went, what?
And the reason why they update
Mm.
is to fix bugs that didn't work. And they knew it didn't work because it showed. There's a lot of people making complaints. They're giving feedback.
Exactly.
Hey, when this update happened, I lost all of my contacts. What's going on? So then they'll so then what they'll do is then they'll gather all that information and say, "Hey, we have another update because when we did this, we failed here, and now we're trying to fix it." So it's the same. It's the same with us. You know, when we upgrade, there's certain things that we fail at. And when somebody points it out, oh,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we have any more comments?
yes. So let me
Thank you to everyone
see.
that's writing in.
Yes,
This is great. This is really
yes.
conversational.
Albert said, "Hello, ladies. It's good to see you back, Albert. It's just wonderful to
Yeah.
see you back." Yeah. Um, Monica, if we talk about being a theologian, I'm smarter than the average bear. Yes, she is. But that true on many fronts. What do I believe about myself?
Mm.
That's a good question. What do you believe about yourself? So, if you, I think, here's a question, Stefania.
Mm.
What was it about them giving you the nickname Caballo? Because
Mhm.
us Filipinos, we do the same thing. We give them nicknames like that. Oh, there
Yeah.
goes the Caballo.
Yeah.
Um, what made what could possibly, if you go back and when they said it to you, what could have caused that, taken it as a negative feedback or as a insult, when they called you that? What could possibly have had happen that caused you to react that way?
Maybe it could have been just, I think too, because I'm fairly tall, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, quite tall, and I'm solid. I'm not twiggy. I'm a solid woman. You know, big hands, big feet.
How
um,
tall are you, Stefania?
I'm well, like without nothing, I'm 5'10.5", which
Okay.
is quite tall. But you know, when you
Okay.
wear a little bit of a heel, like I'm already up to 6 foot, right?
Yeah.
Which is not a problem now. But when you're younger and when you're growing up through school and you're always in the back row of every school photo because you're so tall, or you go at the back, or you go, and even till now, like the other day, I went to a birthday party and we had a group photo. You're at the back. It's like, it's okay, I'm used to it.
Yeah,
But
I know that story well.
right,
Yeah,
right. And for those
Filipinos are
that are
short.
right, and for those that are, I guess shorter, have the opposite where everything you had to sit down or you had to be in front and stoop a little lower again for the ones in the middle. So for me, I related that whole thing of I've always had a thing about being big. I struggled with being taller at school. I struggled with my height. I struggled with, I always used to attract short guys, at school, and, all the shorter high school. And it's like, no. And this whole thing about bigness, and a horse is big. A horse is, it's not a dinosaur, but to me, it's like we stand next to a horse. They're still quite, big.
Yeah.
So for me, it was that distorted thing about a horse of its size more than its beauty,
Mm,
because really a horse is beautiful.
hmm.
There's a lot of beauty in a horse. You can go up to a horse and just, stroke it. And, have you ever gotten up to a horse really close and
Yes.
just touch what's that part? Their nose, like
They're
their
not. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
nostril,
The
and all
bridge.
that warm air that just comes out. And it's so velvety. It's just so
Yes.
beautiful and silky. And And if you're feeding them a carrot, they're just like, they're loving. They are beautiful animals.
Yeah.
But I distorted it, didn't I? I did not look at that side of a horse. I went straight to the size of a horse and how big it was and the big size of its, hind legs.
Yeah.
Which I had a problem back then of being very round and voluptuous. More so. Yeah. So to me, it was like, no. So that's what triggered in me. That's what triggered in me. Until, as I said, my cousin really explained the beauty of a horse. And no, in Italian here, the horse is just so admired. It's such a beautiful, sacred animal.
Wow.
And then, yeah. And since then, I totally, I kind of like took it on. Yeah, I'm the Australian horse.
Yeah.
Cavallo.
Yeah.
Oksana. What's Oksana saying? She's a dear friend of mine.
So could you give us more tools on how to handle your disagreement with your husband partner?
Okay.
Yeah.
Monica. She says, hi, Monica. Is that what she said?
Yes. Hi,
Oh, okay.
I think it's a Monica with the K. I'm not sure. At primary school, my nickname was Ostrich because the way I ran. Oh,
Yeah.
Kids can be cruel.
Extremely. So
Yeah.
what tools to handle a disagreement with your husband or partner?
Here's what Jeff and I did. The first 2 years was very rough. It was he was divorced, I was divorced, and so both of us were coming together in a space where I suffered trauma from my past, and he suffered trauma from his past. So we're coming together in this mutual space to where we had to hash things out. How did we hash those out? We had to be vulnerable enough to say the traumas that happened. When he raised his voice, I cringed. And he's like, what are you doing? So I said something that frightened him. I said, just go ahead and hit me. Yeah. And he was, whoa.
Whoa.
So he's like, sweetheart, no. He's like Monica. He's very passionate when he speaks. His voice gets loud. I did not know that. I did not know that. But me coming from a trauma, thinking that the next step is physical abuse. So it shocked him. It kind of, put him, whoa, now I need to be, more careful, more sensitive, towards that. And so we worked with that. I had to understand that when he raises his voice, it's not what my past was. This is totally different. With him, I had to be more sensitive in, understanding when he says he doesn't want this, he really doesn't want it.
Oh, and that's a Filipino Italian thing, like particularly when it comes to food, right?
Yes.
Have it.
Oh my God.
It's so much love. And yeah, I know. And if they don't eat it, it's like you're offended. Like my mom, and I picked that up from my mum because my mum's like, yes, it's like eat it, and she won't let up until you kind of accept or sit down, make yourself comfortable, and you want to stand.
Exactly. And that's our common thing now. when we talk about food, I would say, well, what do you feel like? I don't know. And he literally does not know.
Uh-oh.
So I had to get used to it. I had to get used to it before I would say, well, it can't just be all on me. I'm always choosing. So I had, okay, do you feel like, do you feel like some steak? Do you feel like American? Do you feel like some Thai? So I'm giving,
Options.
different options. He's like, well, you know what, whatever. Let's go get some really good burgers. Okay. Yeah. So I had to understand that when he said that he doesn't want it. Um, Even with food, I'll say, how is it? It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
So much time and effort and love and sweat.
I swear. Yeah. So, but I've learned, he's not motivated by food.
Mm,
That's just, yeah, he's not
love language.
motivated. When they say, the fastest way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Not with Jeff.
So how did you obviously started exploring, didn't you? And what did
Yeah.
you learn was a way of, it wasn't his stomach. What was his other way of communicating or
Hearing him.
quality time and listening?
Yes. Hearing what he really is saying and paying attention
Mm,
because Jeff is hard to shop for, for his birthday, for Christmas, for Father's Day,
every day.
every day. He's very hard to shop for. Now, because his wants or his, likes are woo, are very expensive. Very expensive. But he's easy to please.
Mhm.
Very easy to please. He's, just pay attention. If he says he doesn't like the striped shirts, that means he does not like striped shirts. So just because I think it's going to look cute on him, I'm not going to buy it.
Right,
you
right.
know, it's- you know how they say, well, you wear it for your spouse. You dress up for your spouse. No, you dress up for you.
Exactly.
And then your spouse will be like, "Oh, that looks cute on you." Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, we had to. Are there still some things that we do? Yeah, there's still some things that we have to, kind of iron out.
Mm.
But it was a rough 2 years. There was a lot of misunderstanding. There was a lot of not speaking.
Oh, really? Mm. Yeah, so that's I just quickly wanted to ask also Oksana what she meant by disagreements too, because everyone has different types of disagreements,
Disagreements. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like you were just saying little bits with what was happening with
Hmm.
you and Jeff, like not speaking how long for, you know what I mean? Like would this go on
Hmm.
for days, weeks? I don't know. So I know some people don't speak for, right up to, yeah, okay, weeks. I've known of a couple like that. I couldn't do that. Is that what's happened with you?
Well, with me,
Hmm.
I don't do it anymore. But I can go on for a whole week, for a whole month without talking. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's how vindictive I was.
Mhm.
You're going to come down off your high horse and you're going to talk to me. And I'm not going to start it. That was my thinking.
Yeah.
That's how I was. But no, when you love somebody, you don't cut them off.
Mm, mm,
You try to mend and talk.
mm.
Yeah.
Which was I was going to say about the communication really, and you tapped on it with Jeff's very important one was listening, being able to be a good listener,
Yeah.
because it's not all about talking. It is about listening
Listening. Yeah.
and asking the right questions. So rather
Yes.
than overreacting,
Mm-hmm.
rather than, really take some breaths. I call it the 3 Bs, where just you just breathing, changing your body posture, your state, and just stepping into another, like, how would, I don't know, Oprah Winfrey question this situation? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's into another type of state. And if it helps thinking about someone that you admire,
Right.
that's good too.
Right.
So, questioning without overreacting and say,
Right.
well, I don't understand. What do you
Mm-hmm.
mean by that?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
Channel your inner Oprah
yes,
and ask some questions.
yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you're
Oh, Monica. Hey, Monica, you joined us. Thank you for
yeah.
joining, Monica.
Hi, Monica Reed.
Let me
So
see. What is this? It sounds like you are saying it requires well-meaning people to well-meaning people. Hmm. Can you elaborate a little bit, Antoinette? What
mm,
do you mean? What do you mean by that?
yeah, so going back to that communication part, I think
Mm-hmm.
that is really key. Being able to um, communicate, be able to really say, okay, I'm not going to react to this. Find out what's going on. What is it? How can we come to an agreement? In fact, something really interesting, a girlfriend of mine told me she was having last week. And she said she had a relationship business meeting.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And she's been with her partner for 2 years now. And it has been a very rocky 2 years, but they're still very in love, and they're still together, and they still want to make it work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she went off and wrote everything down. I mean, this was like really to the last, tither, or else she was just going to walk out. And she treated it like a business, a business. She said, and
Mm-hmm.
it is where we have to. She explained to her partner, you invest in a business. You invest your time, you invest energy, you invest everything apart
Mm-hmm.
from money. It's not
Mm-hmm.
because it's not about money that she was talking about with their relationship. And, she kind of like said how she felt
Mm-hmm.
without pointing fingers. And I did tell her a little bit about that. Don't point fingers. Whatever you do, it's not about you make me feel like. It's about how I feel,
Right.
how I perceive things, how, this um, all transpires, and I get overwhelmed. I'm not
Right.
sure how to handle it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like to know a little bit more about what's going on with you, like really getting into that connection. And it worked. There'd been a full 2 weeks without having any turnaround. It's still, which is great. So
Yeah.
you really are into that other person, when you
Mm-hmm.
really are committed and there's love there and you really want it to work,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to change your route. You have to change the way you do things. You have to change your approach,
Right.
because not all of us are there. And usually when we are in a partnership, when we are in a relationship, one's got stronger, it's got strengths in one area and the
Mm-hmm.
other hasn't, and vice versa.
Right.
So we have to become, students and teachers with each other. And it's okay.
Yes. Yes.
A
And
bit
it's
like
still.
what happened with you and Jeff, right?
Yeah.
There was areas that,
Yeah. Yeah. So she's clarifying a relationship requires two well meaning people who are willing to journey together through varied terrains. Oh,
right.
yes. So, this is what Oksana was talking about. If we don't agree on specific topic, and you have a strong opinion about it. Do you want to take that one?
Well, I I know quite a bit about because I've known Oksana for like over 15, nearly 20 years. Ciao, Rosaria. Ciao, Bella, one of my Italian friends. She says hello to everybody. So when she going back to Oksana, when two people, what was it again?
Let me
Don't
bring it
agree
up.
on the same thing.
Hmm. If they don't agree on the same thing, and she has a strong opinion about it.
Right. Now, often this happens because you have two couples that want to be right. Who doesn't want to be wrong, right? Well, everyone wants to be right. And I get that, right? But I think too, sometimes you just have to say, well, this is my opinion. And you're entitled to have your opinion, but I'm entitled to have my opinion. And at the same time, respect the other person's opinion. And in saying, well, that's your opinion. And they're entitled to, like you're entitled to yours, they are entitled to theirs.
Hmm.
So here I think is managing your expectations. I think,
Mm.
you
Mm.
know, this
Hmm.
is really important because we can have expectations of another person to validate what it is we have strong opinions about. And that expectation then escalates to, well, you need to agree with me if you love me, if
Yeah.
you're with your husband, you're my partner, you're my this.
Hmm.
And, I know through my own experiences, that has not got me very far. It
Mm.
hasn't,
Hmm.
because it only escalates into another disagreement.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I would say, just sort of calm down, understand that, yeah, you are entitled to your opinion, and your partner is entitled to his or her opinion as well. And it's okay because when we don't, we fall into what we call, I guess, perfectionism as well, because we're setting these expectations that we're then wanting to be perfect at everything, right at
Mm.
everything. And there's
Mm.
no right or wrong. There's no
Yeah.
right or wrong. I don't know,
Um,
Zanette, if you want to add to that or
yeah.
see.
Yeah. So here's some of the questions that you might want to ask yourself, especially when there's a disagreement and you have a strong opinion about it. Um, how is your opinion, your thought, how does it affect um, a, if you make that decision? Let's say you're not going to agree with your husband or your partner or relation or who you're in relationship with. How does that affect um, the now and the future? How does that affect? Does it make an impact? Does it make a negative impact? Or is it just basically you want to? Um, I know religion sometimes is a hot topic with relationships because one believes one religion or one institution. One wants to um, be a Presbyterian, and then the other one wants to be a Baptist.
Mm,
Just so if you take a look at it, there's some common ground. It's worship. So it's, giving your time to worship who you believe in, not the institution, but who you believe in. So if you take away the things that um, can cause division, but look for the common ground, if there's commonality, then look at that and then work from there on. And ask yourself here's another question that I ask myself: is it worth it? Is it worth me pressing my opinion? Is it that detrimental? Is it
Gonna
something
change
that,
anything, right?
I'm sorry?
Is it gonna change anything? Like, really, does it
Right,
make
right.
that
Yeah.
important?
Yeah. Is it, really something that I hold dear that changes my identity or changes who I am, who I believe I am? Then that needs to be expressed instead of trying to force the opinion, what you're passionate about. This is going to change me. I feel like if I don't go to church or whatever it is, that, it does something to me. This is where I feel comfortable. This is where I'm growing. And I'm pretty sure if a husband, just like what, Antoinette said, it takes someone to uh, have a well-meaning understanding and love to go with you through these terrains,
Mm,
you know, um, to journey with you. Then also the conversation. Sometimes I find that we're listening to respond. We're
mm,
we're hearing it, but we're already formulating what we're going to say. So we're not listening to understand, we're listening to respond. And um, so when you try to convey what you want to for the partner to understand, speak through the emotion, not through the decision. I don't know if I need to explain that a little bit. Instead of saying, well, this is what I want to do, this is just it. I want to have my own banking account. I'm just going to use it. Finances is another one. I want to have my own bank account and I don't want to have a joint. I want my own. That's it. Speak from your heart, speak from your experience, speak from where, why you want to have your own bank account. I'm just using this as an example. Um, it's because when I had a relationship and we had an account together, and when we had a fight, and he took everything. Or when I was in a relationship, I had to ask for money. I had to ask for my own money that my paycheck was going into. So when you speak from your experiences, then the husband or the spouse or the partner will then understand where you're coming from. And that brings in empathy, that brings in, um, sympathy, that brings in love, that brings in the protection. Oh my gosh, I didn't know. Well, how do we do this? How are we going to get there? Um, Jeff and I have separate bank accounts. I got burnt. Now, who's going to benefit more if we have a joint account? Me, because he banks. He- I'm going to benefit more, but I still have that hesitance, because of that trauma. Now, are we getting there? Of course we are. Yes. But you need to speak from the heart, from experience, why you have that strong of opinion as to you're not going to budge, and go from there. It's a key. The key is conversation. It
mm,
really is conversation.
mm. Perfectly said. Perfectly said. And I think too, sometimes when you get to that, where there's a little bit of head button and it's continuous, I think too that there might be what about results?
Uh-huh.
What about results? What do you mean? What about results?
I think what
What's
she
that?
meant with having, like what you said, having that conversation, having understanding, what are the results? What are the results
Right.
in doing that?
Right. So I was just going to go ahead and just say that if this keeps repeating, right? Also, this is also something you can ask yourself. What's my lesson in this? Right? This keeps occurring and reoccurring. What I'm doing is obviously not getting me a different result. It's getting me the same result, and it's frustrating you. It's triggering you. It's making you feel frustrated or whatever it is. Okay. So say, well, what is it for me? Maybe there's something that you may need to learn for yourself, and your husband or your partner is the perfect catalyst to be demonstrating, to be pushing you in that direction, whether you like it or not. He is the catalyst, or she is the catalyst if it's a woman in your life. So there are questions there, and that will help you process and change direction, and help you to uh, accept, I guess, or it doesn't mean you have to be submissive, okay? Because sometimes, I can understand a woman's point of view that if she's always agreeing with him, she then becomes submissive. She becomes like, I don't want to be that doormat. I was like that with my last husband or my last boyfriend or whatever. So there's this fear of control. There's this fear of, having to be put in that submissive state. It's only going to be that if that's how you view it and that's how you place yourself in that state. But you can just view it as he's entitled to his expression and opinion, and I'm entitled to mine, and we're okay with that. And ask him, are you okay with that? Because really, he may be okay with it, or she may be okay with it, but because we get so entangled about being right or wanting that person to just say, yes, I see your
Mm-hmm.
point of view. I really do, but I don't necessarily agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I do see where you're coming from. Sometimes that's all it takes. And you can also express that to him, Oksana. Put yourself in his position and really view it from his understanding, and say, well, yeah, I can see how you can feel that way or have that strong opinion. And I might not necessarily agree, but I can see your point. Doesn't that, like soften it a little bit as well? You're not being submissive, you're being understanding.
Yeah. Yeah. And my that was one of the conversations that we had, with Jeff and I when we first started, dating, um, with the coming to a disagreement on something. And I immediately, well, if we disagree, then whatever you decide goes. And he was like, well, no, that's no. I said, well, that's how I roll. He said, no, you have a voice in this. And
Mm,
when he said that, that mentality of submissiveness, if there's a disagreement, the default is the man. And Jeff was like, no, you have a voice in this. I want to hear what your opinion is. I want to hear what you think. I want to hear it. It's not just going to, just because we disagree and whatever I say goes. No, this is a partnership. And that's what he said. So, and that's where I started saying certain things, and I love him for it, for him to push me to have a voice, and that's why I'm doing this, because he's the one that actually pushed me. He's the one that pushed me to write my book. It's it's really about having what's important, what really matters. Is it the opinion or is it the relationship? What is worth saving?
mm.
Being right or being in a relationship? you know. So yes, religious culture, gender culture. Yes, all of those are those are obstacles that we have to face on. We have to conquer it. That's what we have to do.
Work
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that's helped, Oksana. Just let us know if that's helped your question. Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it's been a very interesting conversation, isn't it? It's already an
Yes.
hour and 20 minutes that we've gone in, I think, is it? An hour and 10 minutes or more.
Yes, an hour and 15.
Right. So probably just to wrap up things, Zanetta, what would you say to our audience and how to actually handle, not taking things personally? I know you did mention one very strong one, which was confidence, being confident in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
knowing your self-worth. That was, part of confidence, knowing
Yeah.
that you are valuable and your voice matters. What you say matters.
Yes. Yes. And what I gather from taking things personal is asking yourself why. Why did you take it personal? So there must be something still in here that is dealing with some type of trauma, some type of um, untouched or undealt with pain that you might want to take a look at.
Mm, absolutely. Absolutely. And that was exactly what I was going to go into. And I'm going to piggyback on that. Yeah, just question yourself, why do I feel like that? What is it in me that's triggering it? What can I do
Mm-hmm.
about it? There are, ways of evolving, stretching,
Mm-hmm.
healing, overcoming that. And usually 99.9%, there is some little trauma that's still sitting in your cellular memory,
Mm-hmm.
in your subconscious mind, which is being triggered, and that's why this is happening.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can't do it on our own. We can't
Right.
get the
Right. Right.
results. We can't get the healing. We can't let it go, because really it's about letting it go. And today I was going to talk about forgiveness, or this actually, one or two, and I really want to probably do something on forgiveness, because there's just so much about, and with you writing your book as well about forgiveness, and I think that'll be a great topic, and you can pull up things from there. But when we do take things personally, that sets off this chain of events, and where we can't forgive, right? We can't let go, we can't surrender it, we can't move on. And that's what holds us stuck. That's what holds us bondage to, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Antoinette says part two.
Yeah.
Yeah, part two, sequel of forgiveness, because, we whether we call it forgiveness, whether we call it letting go, everyone has a different interpretation of what is. And I listened to a podcast the other day about forgiveness, and it's really, quite interesting. Everybody has this big different interpretation, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll leave that for the next episode.
Yes.
But
Tune
we
in
want to
next time.
next time, yes, but we want to say thank you to everybody for tuning
Yes.
in and being present. And if you watch this on obviously now, put hashtag live, or if you're watching on the replay, press hashtag replay. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you'd like to hear more of. Some topics would be great.
Mm-hmm.
We're always open to speaking about topics you would like to hear and engage in. And we will see you next time. Zanetta has, well, I don't know, do you have your topic already, or are we going to go on
Yeah,
to
we'll roll with it. Yes, we'll go on with talking about forgiveness on next.
Perfect. All right. So, um, from us to you, everybody, sending everyone lots of love and passion.
Until
Thank
next
you.
time.
Bye for now.